Hello, this is Sean Arthur with Environmental Tillage Systems. I'm here with you today to do a walkthrough on our SoilWarrior. This is a 12-row. Our model is a 4530 SXD. It's going to have our X row units on the back of it, and this is in a 12-row configuration. As we hook this up to the tractor here, the first thing that we're going to do, obviously, is when we drop in the hitch pin in, we customize these to build to match up with the size of tractor that you've got. So we will put a different size of hitch on these. This one's going to have our solid steel hitch here. We also do offer a bull pull flexible hitch that we can put on there. They're available in a category 3, category 4, or category 5. Going to be built so that it matches up with whatever drawbar you're using on your tractor. As you're hooking up the hydraulics here, this machine is going to have 5 hydraulic SCVs on it. The first one is going to be green in color, used for our lift circuit. The second one is blue. That's going to be handling the fold and the weight distribution out to the wings. The third one is going to be an optional circuit. That's going to be for the implement steering, the hydraulic steering hitch that we have available on here. That's an option that you can add to any of our SoilWarriors. The fourth circuit that we have is going to be the gray ones in color. That's going to run the hydraulic drives for the meters and also the air compressor. And then the final one is going to be the fan. That's going to be handling the air delivery system to get the fertilizer back to the rear of the machine. So this one's going to have 5 SCVs, but depending on the model that you have, we can be anywhere from 3 SCVs with our smaller units up to 6 of them if you go up to our 24-row that's got dual fans on it and the hydraulic hitch. Other connections that we're going to be making into the tractor, we do need to have a case drain line so that we can have oil return coming back from the air compressor and the fan. We also have these air lines that is going to be connecting to the regulator that's mounted up inside the cab. And then we're going to have our ISO connection that ties into the ISO port on the back of the tractor. Inside of the tractor cab, the only thing that needs to be mounted inside of there is going to be the monitor that you're using to control your tractor and your GPS systems. That's tied into the ISO system of your tractor, and that's what we integrate in with. The equipment that we mount inside of the cab is going to be our air regulators. That air regulator bank is going to be used to control the down pressure for the row units and also controlling the row cleaners. It's going to have a dual acting hydraulic or air cylinder on those row cleaners that can be lifting up or lifting down. So that air regulator inside the cab doesn't take up much space, but it does have 4 adjustable circuits on there to be controlling each area of the Warrior. We're also going to have the optional VISM blockage monitor that can go on there. That's going to be a blockage detection sensor that goes on each of the rows. So on a dry fertilizer system, if you do have any obstructions that happen in that air delivery process where it's blowing the fertilizer back to the row, it's going to pick up that and alert you inside the cab. This is the air regulator that we use with the SoilWarrior. This has 4 separate regulators that are connected here, and each one controls a different aspect of the Warrior. Over here on the left, we have the blue circuit and the black circuit. The black one is going to be for most of the rows for the down pressure on the Warrior. The blue one is going to be the tram lines. That's the rows that are running directly behind the wheels, that we can adjust that one separately in case conditions need to have additional pressure to get that row unit down to the depth that we want to have consistency across the entire machine. These 2 regulators over on the right side are for controlling the zone cleaners. One of them handles the lift action on the cleaners, the other one is the down pressure. We can control them independently depending on how much of a cleaning action we need to have. Gives us the flexibility to be aggressive with the down pressure and clean in heavy residue, or if conditions require a little bit more relaxed situation or even carrying them a little bit, then we can add some up pressure to help lift and carry them as you go across the field. This is our blockage monitoring system that we offer as an option with the SoilWarriors. That is going to monitor each of the rows to make sure that you have fertilizer going to each of the rows as you're applying across the field. Because we're using live air to control the down pressure and the row cleaners on the SoilWarrior, we need to have an air compressor that can provide that consistent air for us. We've chosen to use a hydraulically driven air compressor, as you can see in the front left corner of this machine. That hydraulically driven compressor ties into the hydraulics that we're using in other areas of the SoilWarrior, and it's a proven piece that's given us a high level of durability and consistency out in the field. One option that we offer on a SoilWarrior is the hydraulically steerable hitch. All SoilWarriors are built with the same frame and hitch design, and if you choose to not purchase that hydraulic hitch option, it will be sent with this adjustable turnbuckle. That allows us to align the hitch to make sure that the Warrior is pulling straight and true across the field. If you need to have a higher level of accuracy of strip placement because of contours or side hills, We can add the hydraulic steering hitch, which is going to be this cylinder. This cylinder would be moved down into this position and then integrates into the GPS system to allow the hitch to be moving side to side to perfectly place those strips as you're traveling across the field. The dry fertilizer delivery system is a key component on our SoilWarriors. What we have here is a hydraulically driven system that's going to have the variable rate capabilities. So this gives us the flexibility to run a static rate or to be able to do a VRS script that's going to be adjusting as you go across the field based on a georeference map that you have loaded into your monitor already. We can control each tank independently or choose a flat rate for one or a variable rate for the other. Like I said, this is a hydraulically driven system that's going to be accurately metering that fertilizer out for each of the rows. So as you can see here, this is the metering system that we have for our SoilWarriors. We have a high level of accuracy that we expect out of this metering system to make sure that we have consistent fertilizer placement going to each of the rows and then accurately hitting the rates as we head across the field. This system is a hydraulically driven system that has the flexibility to run a variable rate prescription or a static rate. You can set that inside the tractor cab. There is going to be a range that it can hit as we're traveling across the field. So we can either have a low rate or a high rate setup on here. As you see right now, we do have the meters fully exposed, so each of these meter runs is going to have the highest capacity in its current situation. Our metering system is built with 3 separate access doors to it. As you can see here, the front meter access door has been removed. There is also a clean out door on the back side of it that gives you access to clean out the meters completely, either at the end of the season or if you do have some type of obstruction. And we also have a calibration door that can be taken off the bottom to be used when we're calibrating the meters to make sure they're dialed in to be hitting the specific rate for the fertilizer that you're using. If you have fertilizer in the tank and you need to get access to these meters, we build these with the ability to put a fertilizer block-off plate in place, and this is going to separate the fertilizer that's in the tank from the metering system. This allows you to change the meters, service them, or clean out any obstruction if you've got a fertilizer blockage or buildup inside of there. If you need access to the meters, we remove this cover. Install that fertilizer block-off plate. Then we have access to the meters. This setup is going to show us the meters with full access to be hitting high rates, or if we need to be setting it up to run at some lower rates, we can put a block-off plate in that covers up half of the meter to allow it to spin a little faster at the lower rates and still hit that consistent fertilizer application rate that we expect. The integration of technology is a key component of strip till, and we rely on our SoilWarrior ISOBus control module. We call it our SWCM. This is going to be a Raven-based computer system that allows the SoilWarrior and all of the components to integrate into any modern tractor with an ISO connection on it. We do also have a remote display that's mounted back here on the side of the SoilWarrior. This gives us the ability to read our scales or do any diagnostic work or calibrations right here from the side of the SoilWarrior. So when you're doing your calibration for your fertilizer rates, you're not making multiple trips back up into the tractor. It can all be entered right here as you do your catch test and then enter the information right here on the screen. We have a wide range of toolbar options available for the SoilWarrior. We can go as small as a 6-row all the way up to a 24-row machine, and we can hit multiple row spacings of either 20, 22, 30, or wider rows if that's what you want to have. What we have here is the 4530 SXD SoilWarrior, so that's going to have our 4500 series of toolbar here and 30 feet wide. So this is a 12-row machine on 30-inch spacing. This SoilWarrior is set up with our X row unit. The X row unit, if you're comparing this to some of our other ones like the Edge or the N row unit, the X row unit is going to have the very large single bag on top of it, as you see right here. This airbag acts as a spring to give us the down pressure to push the row unit into the ground, and we also use this to control the depth of the row unit. By using the air regulator inside the cab and controlling how much pressure we put into that bag, gives us the ability to set this row unit running at the depth that we want it to be as it goes across the field. This row unit has 18 inches of travel from the top to the bottom position, so that gives you the flexibility to go over rolling ground or to handle any obstruction that you might come into contact with out in the field. The X row unit is going to have 3 tillage coulters on it. Lead coulter up here, followed by a pair of tillage coulters that are going to be doing all of the cutting and mixing and preparing that zone to incorporate your fertilizer and size any residue, as well as doing the tillage into that area. These large discs back here are going to be our containment coulters. Their job is to capture everything that's been loosened up, keep it in place, and then put it back on top of that berm to give your planter a beautiful area to plant right into. Out the back, we have our rolling basket. They're designed to help give a final finishing touch to that strip. It's going to be removing any extra air that's introduced into that zone and also break up any clods that might have come through when that strip was being created. The rolling basket can be in the carry position right here if you don't need it to be working based on the conditions that you have out in the field, or using one pin, we can put it down and have it engaged in the ground to give us the consistency out the back of the machine. This would be our Vism blockage detection system that we've got mounted on each of these rows. We put it right at the furthest point of the fertilizer delivery system so that if anything is obstructed, whether it's our delivery lines or a piece of fertilizer that gets gummed up inside of a meter, anything that's going to be stopping that fertilizer delivery is going to be picked up right here. This is going to alert the sensor that's inside of the cab, and then you can come back and it will tell you specifically which row is not applying, so you know where to look and check your system to make sure there's nothing getting in the way. If you look at the back of the SoilWarrior, you can see that we have a GPS receiver mounted back there. We have it placed over the top of the toolbar, and that gives us the highest level of accuracy to measure exactly where the toolbar is running and where these strips are being created. Having that second receiver back there goes in conjunction with the receiver that's up on the tractor. They work together to make sure that the tractor is driving where it intends to be, and then the SoilWarrior can be making a final adjustment with the steerable hitch, or it can be used as a passive steering system to help align that tractor and make our placement of strips in the perfect spot as you go across the field. This has been an overview of our SoilWarrior, and as we worked through the whole layout from the hitch to the rear of the machine, if you have any more questions, you can check out our website at soilwarrior.com.